once your company went in, if you're trying to put them on store shelf, when you do the environmental audit or the social responsibility audit, maybe that number one best-selling company won't pass.
Shifting gears for a moment, I was actually on a BWG call yesterday. I was listening in to it was an RMN focused call. Everybody and their mother at this point has an RMN. I mean, the deli down the street from me, he was talking about launching an RMN, and he wanted my thoughts on it. You should probably wait on that. Quite ready for it. What opportunities are you seeing brands actually have? I mean, there's so much hype around this subject, it's not even funny. And I think a lot of these are eventually going to crap out. Like, I don't think that if you've got 100 RMNs out there, that many of them are going to work. They're not going to be that, they're not going to be long for this world. But just talking to you about what you're seeing out there, what's working, what's not, and then AI driven bidding and machine learning. What are you seeing there?
From the retail media standpoint, I mean, it's tough. I think a lot of brands wish the retailers and the retail media, everybody below like a Target, would just go back to say, do aisle interrupters and end caps, and we'll put retail media there. We don't necessarily want to do it on your website because you can't give us any data, and we know it's just a money grab. So how about you that's why I really like this Jack Shannon and this recess.is is if you could use retail media to actually put product in people's hands and drive them to a location, that's cool. I think that thing will totally take off because that's what brands are. What are brands? Brands are exhausted with being asked for money because
Exhausted.
It was a little tainted around, coming out of COVID where everything went online and all the executives were just throwing cash at digital marketing and not knowing what's going on, but just do anything digital, just drive anything online. And then that happens. And at the end of year, maybe get into 2022, at the end of the year, they're like, okay, so what'd you do with it? And they're like, we spent it. That's what we did. We spent the money. Well, what did we get for it? What do you mean, what do we get for it? It's digital marketing. We don't know what we got for it. And so the next,
you're talking about
2023,
22, right around 2022. What's interesting is that you and I have had this talk. You had a lot of PEs buy a lot of things in 2019, 2020. So you're at that 22, you're sort of in the halfway milestone of their typical ownership cycle. And I agree with you. They're halfway through at that point. They're starting to wonder, what did I just buy and pay in a lot of cases, big multiples for?
Yeah, I mean, that I think a lot was driven by the pandemic. When the government prints $8 trillion now, banks don't necessarily want money. They loan it out super cheap. And when you're in the height of digital and it looks like it's going to go this forever, we're borrowing too much, putting too much debt underneath. And yeah, by 2022, 2023 and into 2024, interest rates start coming up. The amount they owe on the debt is a bigger burden on the books. And then there's a lot more scrutiny on every dollar being spent. That's on the PE-owned side, but it's also on the corporate side, where they were saying, the traditional enterprise companies, they're looking at it like, wait, we just spent a lot of money and in every other case, we get some kind of readout on it. The digital marketers were like, there's no tools out there to really do it. There's some that kind of gauge it. And now they got their feet held to the fire. And so they've dialed back their spend and they get very, very intentional. And especially now. And so now when we look at, they're being pushed more and more to validate every dollar that's being spent. And then you have all these retail media people, all networks just popping up, give us money, give us money, give us money. They're like, I give you money if you can show me you did something, but you didn't show me you did anything. And they're like, well, if you don't give us the money, we're not going to give you the placement. And it's like, I want to give you the money, but I can't give it to you on the digital side because we know you're just flushing it down the drain. It's not working. Is there something else we could do? And those are the weird kind of conversations that are going on. But I think they want to spend the money. They always have with the retailers, right? Like, help us help you sell more of our product.
It's tough, by the way. That is a tough conversation. And without getting into some of the bigger guys, I'm not going to name names, but I'll tell you, Aaron, you know this. It is a challenge at best to get the merchant of this big box sit down with the digital people of that big box with the brand. And by the way, whatever, commensurate agencies you're going to need to stitch all that together. Your mileage may vary. My experience with doing that with some of them is really, really hard. And at the end of the day, you say, God, you're looking for $1. To your point, they're looking for $1 of investment. I'll give you 100 if we can just create this sort of network of reporting. And if I invest, you're going to buy more from an omnichannel perspective and this and that, and we're going to help sell it through, create this virtuous cycle. It's not so simple as a lot. You read these white papers and LinkedIn posts. It's not so simple.